Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Choices in Fly Tying and Fly Fishing. I'm Raj Kletke, and today we'll look at what fly I tie on first and how I choose that fly. There are, of course, numerous choices. Most of us carry many, dare I say too many, different flies that choosing the best one to start a day of fishing can seem difficult. But before I talk about what fly I tie on first, let's look at when I tie it on, because this does make a difference. I almost always tie on my first fly immediately after putting my 4-piece rod together and stringing it up. This is often at the car. I know it's almost sacrilege to choose your first fly before observing the water, but unless it's a very short distance and clear path to the stream, I want a fly on for safety. Commonly, it'll be a favorite fly, usually a size 14 Elk-Hair Caddis, unless I have a specific reason to put on a different fly. It will almost always be a dry fly because I especially like dry fly fishing, and it's easier to add a dropper or even change to a nymph rig. A lot easier than changing from a nymph rig to a dry fly. But the choice of this first fly doesn't really matter. What, you say? Choosing the first fly doesn't really matter? Not really. I'm using this first fly mainly for safety to carry my rod to the water. I can quickly change flies and tippets when I get streamside if needed, and you should be able to also. Changing flies is a very important fly fishing skill. If you're reluctant to change a fly because you're uncomfortable tying knots, then join me next time when I'll show you how to tie the knots I use. They're quite quick, easy to tie, and have excellent strength. What do I mean for safety? Well, a friend of mine lost the tip of his rod carrying his unstrung rod behind him like this. Evidently, his rod hit a branch behind him, knocking the tip off. He didn't notice until he got to his destination. I want my rod strung and a fly-on for safety. I'll string my rod, doubling the leader back towards the reel, tie on a fly, and attach it to the hook keeper. Or, if my leader with tippet is very long and I don't want the leader-fly connection to come inside the tip guide, I'll loop the leader back around the reel and attach the fly to a line guide. Either way, this ensures the rod tip won't fall off on my way to the water. If I'll be walking through dense underbrush, climbing over logs, walking through a forest, or sometimes just a very long hike to where I want to fish, I'll carry my rod pieces in its cloth bag, tightly wrapped, and my reel in a zippered vest pocket. I'll put my rod together at the stream, put the cloth bag in the zippered pocket where the reel was, and then choose my first fly after observing the water, as I'll discuss shortly. On my walk to the stream, I'll watch for organisms that I may want to fish with. At the stream, I may change to an organism that I saw on my walk or simply add a dropper. If it's a new stream, I do basically the same thing. Yes, I probably did look up a hatch chart for the stream or region, and I may have stopped at a fly shop for advice and bought a few things, but I usually end up with an Elk-Hair Caddis or other favorite fly on anyway. When it's a stream I know well, or even if it's a new stream, when I get to the area I'm going to fish, I do spend some time observing. Probably I should be spending more time observing than I do, but hey, I'm anxious to get fishing. Commonly, I'll just start fishing with the fly I put on at the car. But if I see rising fish or birds taking something out of the air suggesting a hatch, I'll try to define the hatch, of course. Trying to define what is hatching, what fly to choose, and how to fish it better is much better covered in my series on fly fishing hatches, so I won't repeat it here. See the address listed below. If there is a hatch, once I decide on the fly, I'll often just add that fly as a dropper to the Elk-Hair Caddis, especially if it's a small blue-winged olive, trico, or other hard-to-see tiny fly. I might want my Elk-Hair Caddis as an indicator fly anyway. Occasionally, tandem rigs do cause conflicting drag or other issues, so sometimes I do need to remove the Elk-Hair Caddis to better fish the fly selected for the hatch. If I see no active fish when I'm at the stream, then I'll usually start fishing with the Elk-Hair Caddis or whatever dry fly I have on. I'll quickly add a size 20 zebra midge as a dropper if I'm getting no action. I might even change to a soft tackle, possibly as a dropper. if I see a few fish rising but no obvious hatch, if I'm still not having any luck with my current rig. So, in summary, the first fly I tie on immediately after I put my rod together and string it up is commonly a size 14 Elk-Hair Caddis. I use it to safely transport my rod to the stream. The first fly I fish with may be the same, but after observing insects on my way to the stream and the area of stream I'm going to be fishing, I commonly will add a dropper to imitate something I observed on my walk to the stream, a fly specific for the hatch that's occurring, a nymph for a hatch that I'm expecting shortly, or a zebra midge, as midges have what I consider a low-grade hatch almost continuously. But the real key to whatever fly I put on first or fish with first is my willingness to change flies to something more reasonable if I'm having no action. Always continue to observe what's happening on the stream and what water type you're fishing. I may even have to put on a nymph rig or a streamer, both of which I also enjoy fishing if that's the best way to catch fish that day. So, now it's your turn. What fly do you put on first and why? Join me next time when I show you what knots I use for adding tippet, attaching a fly, and adding a dropper. We'll also look at how I tie them. I'm Raj Kletke, and I'll see you soon.